February 1st, 2024, the day of the accident. I'll jump in. That morning, Trevor woke me up really early and wanted me to put some Bluetooth headphones in his helmet. I had never seen or touched his helmet. By doing this for him, I saw that his helmet looked a little loose. And for whatever reason, I said, if you wear that today, I need you to tuck your hoodie in your helmet. We've got to have a tighter fit, and you need to have that evaluated. He said he wasn't going to do that, but we later found out by some video and picture taken 13 minutes before the accident that his hoodie was tucked in his helmet. So something laid it on his heart at the last minute to do that. We know that was God. Miraculous. I had never touched his helmet in 4 years. So then we made our way downstairs. So we were just sitting in the kitchen, chatting it up. Trevor was in his gear. He was going to go riding later that day. And we just had a wonderful conversation. We talked about worship music and God and what a beautiful moment. He begged Brent to make him mac and cheese. Brent was running late for work. For whatever reason, he said, oh, fine. Trevors was notoriously spoiled. So he made him some mac and cheese. That was the last thing Trevor ate before months of a feeding tube. And the moments before he walked out of the door, he had came downstairs. I was playing Casting Crowns, worship music on my piano. And he said, do you know how to play the song by Kid Leroy, Where Does Your Spirit Go? I said, well, if I know the chords. So we looked it up and I played it. And he sat in this very chair, in this very spot, and said, man, you're sick. You're so awesome. And I said, ride safe. And he said, you finally got it right. Because I used to always say, drive safe. And he left. And the next time I saw him, he was in the ICU. The time of his accident was 1:40. I was in the Walgreens drive-thru, waiting through their lunch break. At the exact time of the accident, I had texted Trevor, Trevor, you need to get our Christmas lights down, because we'd paid him to put them up and take them down. Came home, started scrolling on Instagram on the couch, and one of the videos I saw had the song Shout to the Lord in the background. I went, I love that song. I haven't sang that song in forever. So I got up, I went to the music room, and I started to worship the Lord, and I started singing that song as loud as I could. And in February in Washington, to have a beautiful day, the sun was out, I was just having a moment. And my phone rang, and it was Brent. He said, do you know where Trevor is? I said, no. This went back and forth for a while. I looked at Trevor's location, and it looked as if he was in the middle of an intersection, which really hit my stomach. Something had been up that day. When I was in the drive-thru, I messaged Paul, or he had messaged me, how you doing? And I said, I'm great, but something tells me I'm not. I have this weird feeling. I don't remember that moment, but it's in text. So Brent called around, some friends, and finally got a hold of me and said, you've got to get to the hospital. So this phone call is recorded, and I'll tell you. Hello?
Is he hurt? No!
It's worse than you think it would be when you get news like that. So Brent he was so calm, he tried to really make me feel like it was gonna be okay, but I knew it wasn't. And I finally got out of him that the officers on the scene had put the call out as a dead on scene, and one of Trevor's friends was there, and an officer looked at the friend and said, "I'm really sorry," and told him not to hurry. And then they said he was going to Tacoma General. So we have 2 hospitals that used to trade days of working trauma. And so I called some friends and found out that Tacoma General was not the trauma hospital that day, which meant he had passed away. And when I first got the call and I hung up with Brent, you just scream. And I remember stomping my feet and just being frozen and scared and wondering why I wasn't passing out, and what do I grab? What do I do? I was in just the craziest outfit, didn't care. You put flip-flops on. I screamed the whole way to the driveway. I'm in the driveway screaming at God, no, no, no. And I'm not kidding you. God literally spoke to me, not audibly, but I felt him say, ask me, daughter, what do you want? I know what you want, just ask. And I felt so stupid. I bring my son back from the dead, what a weird ask. There's another way the Lord set us up. Our friends, the Carlsons, had to say goodbye to their son on this earth, and our friend Les stood over his son's body and asked with expectation that he come back to life, knowing God could do it. And I remember hearing that story going, what a man of faith. And so that hit my head, and so I just started proclaiming that. And that was not of me. That was not of some great faith that I had, or because I'm just so spiritual. It's because God put that on my heart. It's all him. And I was driving and I was going crazy, but I spent the entire time on the phone trying to find out where Trevor was. Turns out he was not at TG. He was at the hospital on St. Joe's, and that's the hospital that was on trauma that day. Long story, but I met Brent there. There was tons of Trevor's friends there. It was pretty chaotic. I hadn't been successful getting a hold of Paul. He was at work selling some things and didn't have his phone on him. Paul had heard an ambulance go by at the same time of Trevor's accident. He works very close to the scene, and he remembers praying for whoever was in that ambulance, and it was his son. Now we're at the hospital, and I'm in the bathroom wanting to throw up, begging God to let me pass out for a minute and just have a break from this chaos. God was the only thing that I wanted in that moment. No one could do anything for Trevor if he was gone. I just didn't want to have to talk to anyone other than God. And he felt like he was right here. So I need to start wrapping it up, I know. But we're just getting started. So I get to the hospital. Trevor's under a random name. It was Sulphur Oslo. And 2 nurses came out. They stood on each side of me. I believe it was a physician who came out. And I'm going, here it is. Here it is. And I looked around and I'm like, just the last moment where I don't know officially that Trevor's gone. And he looked at me and said, Trevor is not doing good. What? Huh? He's alive? He's alive? He's alive? And the doctor said, when I left the room, yes, I don't know about this very second. And I wanted to run away. Look what God has done. He's hearing me. He's listening to me. I gotta go. I just wanted to run away. But he said it was very touch and go. Trevor was losing blood about as fast as they could put it back in. He had so many broken bones, and he was not stable to do surgery, but they could not find where this internal bleeding was coming from. His blood pressure was tanking, like I said, tons and tons of blood. And I remember running outside, crying out to God, screaming. I remember a chaplain catching me before I fell to the ground. He was speaking what I thought was in his native language. Turns out it was the first time ever this chaplain had spoke in tongues, and he said it came out of nowhere. I was praying, crying out to God, and I also knew that God was going to do what he was going to do. It was the most helpless feeling I've ever felt. I made my way back in. Paul's now at the hospital. He said, come on, we got to go. They have to take him now. They warned us he was not going to make it through surgery, most likely, but they had no choice. They had to find out where the bleeding was coming from. So we got to go stand over him. Paul said something super sweet, whispered in his ear. I said, you promised me you would never die on your bike. You can't die, please, Trevor. And I'm realizing, okay, that's not okay. I need to go. Calm down. And I screamed, I love you, I love you. I wasn't quite as frantic as I'm making it sound, but they wheeled him away, and then we all waited in a waiting room. There was probably 25 people there. Word had traveled quickly. In the waiting, I asked the chaplain for a Bible. I remember saying, Lord, I need a good verse. You got to give me a good verse. And that's when I opened it up to 1 Peter. I believe it's 5. I know it's 6 through 10. I'll show a picture. And there's no better verse. There was no better verses. Cast all your anxieties onto the Lord. The adversary is going to be prowling like a lion. There are brothers and sisters also going through trials at this time. And in the end, when you've persevered and made it through, I'm going to make everything okay. All right, well, there it was. My perfect verses. Doctor comes in. I run away. I'm praying in the hallway, and out comes the doctor again, and he says, do you want to know? And I said, I don't want to know. And he goes, I think you do. I think you do. Well, yes, I do. Then I do. He said Trevor had made it through surgery. They left him cut open. They needed to go back in the next day and do a lot more. But at that time, they had him fairly stable. So you can imagine my praise, my worship, the Lord was literally the only conversation and person I wanted to speak with. I was hugging Paul. We were freaking out. I got to see Trevor for a little bit that night. Pretty cruel that I had to leave. I was like a caged animal. When they were trying to get me out of that hospital, I'd only seen Trevor for about 45 minutes. And they asked me to go home. And I couldn't come back till 8 o'clock the next morning. Longest night ever. God bless my husband. When we drove home, it was like I saw the world differently. I wanted to give every homeless person all my money. You want to only do good. You feel like the Lord just blessed you beyond imagination, and all you want to do is bless other people. And we should always be living like that. The Lord died on a cross brutally and cruelly for us. He's blessed us immensely. I wish I could live in that permanently, but it's really hard to do. We got home. I remember being scared to death, but strengthened by the Lord. There's just no way to share this in under a billion hours, because there was a trillion moments and a trillion prayers, and you're just sitting in your son's room going, what just happened? And I'm walking through all the places he was just there that morning, and it's so awful. Grief is so awful. And I have such a heart for people that have to bear so much grief in this lifetime. And so if I feel that way, can you imagine how much the Lord cares for those who are suffering? It's so much. But that was the day of the accident. And The point of the story is God was down here with me, right here. Ask me, daughter, talk to me. What do you want? I know, but just tell me, just say it out loud. And he did it. And I know in my heart that if Trevor wasn't going to make it, he would have showed up differently, but he would have showed up to strengthen me, to give me faith beyond comprehension. We serve a super compassionate, wonderful, holy God that has so much mercy, overflowing with love and mercy for us. In that moment, you only want to talk to God. He's the only one that can do anything. The doctors can help, but he's going to pick those doctors. I want the one that knows exactly what to do with all the right knowledge, and boy, did we have him. You want everyone praying. You think the more people praying, the more he hears. I know that's not necessarily true, but something about the prayers of everyone else holding you up. And somebody could have handed me $1 million, or someone could have got on their knees and brought my son's name before the throne of God. And the only one that even had a chance was the second one.